Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Haydex Gaming here, and today I've got something a little bit different for you. I've got an update video for Necesse. So here is version 0.21.22, the settler equipment, slaughter jobs, combined trinkets, and more. That's crazy. So settlers can get equipment, slaughter jobs, I'm hoping that's for animals, and then combined trinkets. Let's jump right into it. Hey everyone, May has been a crazy month with a lot of new people to welcome into this community. Thank you so much to everyone who has played, given suggestions, posted bugs, and every other kind of feedback. Even though I have a vision for the game, it is largely built on feedback from you, so definitely keep coming. Fair has done such an amazing job at this game, and I cannot wait for more updates as well. More like this as well. This is such a huge step forward. But let's get into it. We're now at over 1,000 total Steam reviews, which is just incredible. Posting a review is one of the best ways to support the game's development, so don't hold back. Even though I may not give an answer to everything, I do read all the feedback and reviews on the discussion boards from the in-game feedback forum and in the official Discord channel. If you haven't already checked out Discord channel, do so. Fair is super active on there. He's responding to everyone. He's fixing bugs on the fly, pushing out updates, little minuscule updates, and everything else. And then he's all over the Steam reviews. He's all over Discord. He's super active with the community, and he loves every single bit of feedback he gets. He's super great on the feedback front. Now let's get to what you're here for, updates. I usually do one update about once a month, where I can also try to talk a bit about what I'm going to be working on next and the direction the game is heading. You can see examples of previous updates on the game's news page. This update is smaller than a regular one. As you can imagine, the sudden influx of players required some hot fixes and some other attention. And doing so, he has pushed out quite a few bug fixes already, but this is probably the biggest update since probably the combat update that came out not too long ago. So here's one of the main ones. Settler equipment has been a long suggested feature, and this is the first iteration of it. For now, this is limited to armor and cosmetics. Settlers get all the benefits from the armor, including the set bonuses. Raids have also gotten some balance tweaks together with this feature. Equipping them with weapons, tools, and giving them direct commands like following you around will come in future updates. So at the moment, you can give them armor. So here you can see someone in the gold armor, unless that's the character. But even still, that's super nice. It means you can spec them up, gear them up, and then any of them with certain set bonuses, like I think the ice armor gives them movement speed. It's huge, absolutely huge. Or the ivy armor. The ivy armor gives them like the poison debuff when they hit. So that's huge, especially for defending your own settlements. It's now possible to configure work zones. Every work zone has a custom name, and in husbandry zones, you can set the max animals before animal keepers will slaughter the extra. More custom settings for the different zones and new zone types will come in future updates. So here you can see slaughter when the animal count reaches 15. So anything else above 15 will just get slaughtered. So say you set that to, I don't know, maybe 20. Once you've got 20 cows in there, the second it hits 21, your whoever's doing the husbandry, so probably the animal keeper at this rate, will just slaughter that cow and harvest stuff. So that way you don't have to go through and massacre everything every time. It's such a nice update, and it's such a good quality of life. Behind the scenes, I've been working on workshop integration, updated Steam networking, better controller support, and M1 Mac support. These will hopefully start to be rolled out over the next couple of updates. The M1 Mac support I've seen in the Discord, he mentions that it's probably about 2 to 3 months away, maybe. So if you are a Mac player or an M1 Mac player, just hold out a little bit longer. It's worth the wait. If you can, it's definitely worth the wait. Otherwise, got any other Windows machines, just jump on them. Game isn't too intensive and will run on pretty much everything. Some of the other features in this update include new trinkets crafted by combining other trinkets. Now, I jumped into the game, I figured out what they were. There is the Assassin's Cowl, so it's a hood. It combines the effects of the Lucky Cape and the Ancient Feather, so you get the extra 10% crit chance and the extra 50% projectile velocity. You combine them both into one, and then you get just one trinket. So instead of having the 2 trinket slots for that, it's just the one. The next one is the Explorer Satchel, which is I believe it's the leather gloves, tracker boots, and the shine belt. So with them, you'll get in one trinket, you combine them all into one trinket at a demonic crafting table. You'll get attack and movement speed up to 10%, and then you'll also emit light as you walk. So it's super useful when exploring the caves and going dungeon crawling. And in the third and final, oh, actually no, there's 4 trinkets. Sorry. The third trinket is the Shell of Retribution. It combines the Cactus Shield and the Spider Charm. So it'll give you +4 armor. It has the chance to return the enemy damage, so it's like a Thorns ability almost from the Cactus Shield. And then you'll poison the enemy on hit for 40 damage over 5 seconds when they hit you. So 40 damage over 5 seconds is insane. And then when you combine that with the next trinket I'm about to talk about, which is the Balanced Frostfire Foci. Now, the Balanced Frostfire Foci is insane, absolutely insane. So to make it, you need the balanced foci to begin with. So you would need the ranger, the summoner, the melee, and the ranger foci combined into one. And then you combine that with the frost flame, which is the ice and fire stones combined. And then with those two, you combine them, and then you get +20% damage to all enemy types. The attacks will slow down enemies, and then also you'll cause massive 35 damage over time for 5 seconds on hit. So all of that in one trinket is absolutely insane, and will probably be the #1 best in slot trinket going forward in the game. So they're the new trinkets. There's a few other things. Let's get back into it. So the forge now works like the grain mill and the cheese press, but faster. It needs fuel. So that's kind of cool. You can now, before the forge was kind of just like you just make the items in the forge and then you get them back. Now you put you get the settlers to fill it with fire, and then it will do it over time, similar to all the other stuff like the cheese press and the mills and things like that. New ghost items for showing recipes help in the processing crafting stations. So that just shows you how to craft certain items. Ones that weren't there before, they're there now. Looting items from your corpse will now try and place them in their previous position. So you'll see that down here. He walks onto it, and then all his armor equips back to where it was. That's super nice. It means if you picked any items up on the way back to your gear and your pack was full, you don't have to sort it all. You don't have to sort it all out. Sorry about that. You can now sleep without setting your spawn point, which is super handy because anytime you went to sleep, it was like spawn point removed, spawn point set. And now you can just sleep without having to go through all that every time. Optimize the save file pass up to 95% in some cases. So when saving the game, it would sometimes take a little bit to save. So now it just saves way quicker. TNT with levers that generate around minecart tracks. So that's just new world optimization. Travel scrolls will now attempt to teleport you to the shore of the island. Nice. So before using a travel scroll to teleport from island to island, you'd be placed at the border of the island, which meant you'd have to swim all the way to shore. And it was super annoying. So that's really good too. A bunch of other small changes and fixes. You can read the full changelog below, which I'm going to do. The main critiques I see are on the graphics and the UI, which Fair is saying is the weakest side of the game. But I don't have a problem with either of them. They're both great. The UI is super intuitive with the auto stacking, things like that. So I don't really mind. As for the additions, let's go over them now. Added the ability to equip settlers with armor. I went over. Added the ability to configure husbandry zones to slaughter animals. I did. The Explorer Satchel trinket, the Balanced Frostfire Foci trinket, Shell of Retribution trinket, Assassin's Cowl trinkets, number indicator slots on hotbars. So down the bottom where you've got all your items, it'll have 1 to 9 across them, or 1 to however many there were. Added the Frost Piercer's summon weapon, a new drop by the Queen Spider. Now this summon weapon's really good. It's like the secondary summon items like the Slime Canister and the Reaper's Call. So it spawns icicles around you in like a circle, and then they just target enemies. So you can still have your regular minions out, because these don't classify as minions. They're like a secondary summon weapon. Added missing materials loot to Snow and Swamp Cave Explorer expeditions. Perfect, so when sending out the Explorer on expeditions, there were some things that he couldn't get, and now he can. Added ghost items and recipe tooltips to processing crafting stations like the grain mill. Similar to what I went over before with the other ghost items, it just shows you what you can and can't place in there. Added TNT and levers that sometimes spawn around cave minecart tracks. So these are another thing to look out for, like more world gen, where you might accidentally step on them and it'll blow up. So there's that. Added player hunger to the settings command. Something that probably server admins would use more than anyone. Added the ability to rename work zones, which is huge, because then you can sort them all by what type they are, what they do, or who they're for, things like that. Added the Frost Sentry hostile mob to Snow Caves. So that's a new enemy. I haven't actually explored too much with them, but by the looks of things, they're just another mob that you just have to deal with, like a ranged enemy. Added the Frost Hood and new set bonus. So I had a look at that. The Frost Hood can be crafted at an iron anvil and is specific to a range build. So the full set bonus that comes with the Frost range build is 10% crit chance and 50% projectile velocity. Added a small animation for Void Wizard clone projectile spawning. Just like another tell for the boss so you can see what he's going to do. That's pretty much it. Added commands for admins to change other players' names. It's super nice for like those server owners, again, the admins of those servers. Added Hungarian translation, thanks to Aleximus for probably translating it all and doing all of that. Always good to see everyone helping out there and everyone just doing their bit to make this game enjoyable for everyone. Changes and miscellaneous. The Forge now functions like a processing crafting station, similar to the grain mill. So that way you need your settlers to fill it up with logs and things like that for it to work. If you wanted to automate it. Picking up items from your corpse now places the items in the previous position. So if your armor was equipped onto you, it would automatically equip it as you re-picked it up. Adjusted the stats of raiders throughout the progression. So every boss you kill, the raiders get stronger and stronger. And of course, now you can equip armor to your raiders, or your settlers, I guess. Increase the inventory of the dress that have 10 possible sets. So now you can place more clothing and cosmetics and armor in those dresses. Thrown bombs and dynamite have a flying arch, so instead of going in a straight line, they kind of curve now. It's no longer possible to fish up coins, giving more room to other catches. That's huge, especially when you're going for that 500 fishing achievement. You no longer have to worry about getting those coins. Lunchboxes will no longer automatically pick up food materials and give food that gives debuffs. You can still put them in manually. Cool. So when you like kill a rabbit or something and you pick up the raw food, that raw food won't go in the lunchbox anymore because it's got a debuff on it, which is super nice because you didn't want it in there clogging up your food space anyway. Increase minecart track stacks size to 250. I don't know what it was before that, but that's super nice for those people that use minecart tracks to get around. Travel scrolls now attempt to teleport you to shore instead of landing in the ocean. I went over that one. It's now possible to sleep in the bed without setting a spawn point. I went over that one. Unchecking pause on focus loss now also prevents pausing when opening the Steam overlay. Cool, so I don't really use the Steam overlay, but I imagine anytime someone did the shift tab or whatever it was to open the Steam overlay, the game would pause and it gets super annoying. So now it doesn't do that. So that's really nice. Settlers will now show in their activity if their inventory is full. So if you've got maybe too much storage already and travelers don't know where to put anything, you'll be able to see that in their inventory. Then it'll say that their inventory is full, and you won't kind of have that bottleneck anymore of why aren't they doing anything. Reduce timer before players are considered AFK significantly. So that's more for like servers and like admin staff to do that. It's now possible to bind zoom to mouse wheel and have it work correctly. Oh, that's great. Because before it was plus and minus, usually, on the keyboard to zoom in and zoom out. So now you can use the scroll wheel. Cheese press is now crafted in a demonic workstation. Optimize save file passing, I went over. Makes the default color mode setting vibrant. That's huge. A lot of people stuck with the classic feel, which kind of had like the washed out colors. Vibrant makes the game feel so alive and so warm. And that's huge. That'll give everyone's first impressions of the game such more positive reviews, just because the colors are brighter and warmer. Like, you're jumping in and it feels good. Homestone user interface is now centered and scales with monitor heights. I never noticed that on my monitors. I've got an ultra wide, so I guess monitor height for those people with the slightly taller monitors would have noticed. Cave chest rooms will now always try to generate the door out to an opening. It's really nice because before, sometimes those cave rooms would just be like boxed into a wall. Saves will now still be detected even if the archive and folder name inside is not matching. That's huge because when you went to zip up a folder and give it to someone, when zipping up a folder, it would remove the spaces with underscores. So now it can distinguish and still detect that it's the same folder. The pawnbroker can now also be recruited if you have 8 or more settlers in your settlement. That's really good. I don't know if you also need to have defeated a certain boss or if it's just the 8 settlers. It can now also be recruited, so maybe just having the 8 settlers is enough. Maybe you don't have to have defeated the Void Wizard anymore. Minecarts can now only be hit by player sword style attacks. That was a heavily requested one because so many people's inventory was clogging up with minecarts when they accidentally hit them and they didn't want them. Reduce the drop rate of trapper hats. Great. I was sick of getting them from zombies. Inviting players to teams with invite command now also creates a team. Perfect. Made it possible to hit number pad enter when you can regular enter. That's huge because I just type and I'd always hit the number pad enter and then realize I have to press regular enter. So that's great. Settler activity now shows on a mission if sent on expedition or fishing trip. So for the angler and the explorer, when you send them off, it'll now show in the settler activity that they're actually on a fishing trip or an expedition, which is great because before it would just say that they were idle. You'll now get lunchboxes from... Oh, you'll now get lunchbox from the Evil's Protector and the ammo patch from the Queen's Spider. I think that goes in conjunction with this next one here. It's now no longer possible to get other lunchboxes, ammo pouches, etc. from random quest rewards, making more space for the other rewards. That is huge. So many people, and even myself when going for the 100% achievement, doing those quests just to get the same items over and over and over instead of like the horse costume or the chicken costume. This makes it so much easier to do that, and it's so good. Updated Chinese translations, updated German, updated Spanish translations, and then some fixes. Fixed players sometimes being invisible after using a bed. Fixed selecting text sometimes overlapping the selection box between letters. Fixed worm enemies circling players that are dead with other targets that are available. I guess that's just a multiplayer one. Fixed tooltips flickering when using a mouse tool. Fixed a rare crash when loading levels caused by identify collision of packets. I guess that's a server one. Fixed possible crashes with receiving packets from external sources. Also a server one, I think. And some other small changes and fixes. Overall, a huge, huge update. And of course, the takeaway would be the settler equipment. So make sure you're crafting armor sets for all your settlers now. The slaughter jobs. So make sure you've got those haystacks ready and your breeders all set up, doing everything they need so that you don't have to manage them. And then it's just get your settlers to take the food and harvest the cows and sheep, and then you don't have to worry about making your own food. And then, of course, those combined trinkets is another huge one to take away from this. So if you want to see more, follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/HateXGaming. I stream Necesse at least once a week. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you disliked it, dislike it. But let me know what you thought about the update.